All right, so welcome to part 4 of chapter 1. Now, this is part 4 coming in by popular demand. Um, Currently in the curriculum, it'll be in chapter 12 that I lay out a 6-month trading plan, including your share size, the strategies you'll trade, how you'll manage risk, and how you'll find stocks every day for 6 months. But I want you to start today, for those of you who are just joining the classes, by trading in a simulator and following a certain set of rules. Being a successful trader is all about having discipline. And so getting you into that habit right away by giving you a trading plan is important. So that's why I've decided to kind of insert this part 4 into chapter 1. All right, so this is a 30-day trading plan. This will get you up to chapter 12 when I'll give you the trading plan for the next 6 months. All right, so in your first month of trading, you will be trading in the simulator. Now, this is very important. I want you guys to trade in the simulator right here. Now, this is a day where we've got 525 traders who traded. And of the 525, let's see how many of them were red. Over 300. Over 300 were red. So more than 50% of the traders were red. And, the reality is a real broker that has this type of risk management software that can see all their traders is probably going to have something very similar. It might even be worse. It might even be more red and less green because a lot of these students have been working and practicing for quite a while. You should not trade with real money until you have first proven that you can be profitable in the simulator. It's so important. So what I want to do here is a quick survey of those of you who are in the class. And I'm going to ask you, let's see, I'm going to drag this up. All right, so question, will you commit to trading in the simulator for 30 days instead of trading with real money? And the question really is, can you give me 30 days? 30 days to trade in the simulator. Prove that you have what it takes in the simulator to be a profitable trader before you trade with real money. The reality is, if you cannot be profitable in the simulator, you shouldn't be trading with real money, right? I mean, it's common sense, but the reality is most traders jump into the market and they trade with real money before they're ready. All right, so looks like we've got 97% agreeing. So you guys, what you just did is you signed a legal agreement. Little did you know, you just signed a legal agreement that you will be trading in the simulator for the next 30 days. I don't want you trading with real money. The reason is because so many traders jump in, they start trading real money, and they blow up their accounts. I've had students, and this is 100% true. I've had students who join the course, and they say, well, I need to make money, so I'm just going to start trading. He's talking about momentum. He's talking about the gap and go. I'm watching him make money every day, so I'm going to jump in. And then they email me one night. I had a student email me, and he was down $4,000 on a trade that I took that day. And I lost a couple $100 on it. It wasn't a good trade, but the fact is, instead of taking the loss, he just held it. He just held it. He didn't stop out. That's because he hadn't gotten to chapter 2, which is where we talk about risk management. He hadn't learned how to manage his risk. And so he got into the trade and he just held it. And he said, what should I do? And I said, well, me not knowing, I said, well, what was your max loss when you got into the trade? For all I know, he's trading with a $500,000 account and he's down 4 grand, but he was trying to make 8 grand. I mean, I don't know for sure. What was his plan? Was this a swing trade or a day trade? Well, he says, I don't know. I don't know. And I said, well, that's your first mistake. A trade is not a trade until you know your max loss and you know your profit target. If you don't know those two things, it's not a trade. Now, for those of you who are just getting started, we're going to talk in classes chapters 6, 7, and 8 about the strategies, and that's going to give you the exact entries and the exact exits. So of course, right now, you are trading a little bit blindly. You're kind of guessing. That's okay to do that in the simulator in a safe environment, but you don't want to do that with real money. Now, the stock that he was trading, they ended up doing a secondary offering overnight, and the next day it opened down 50%. He blew up his trading account. He got in over his head, and it was 100% avoidable. He became another statistic. And, that's obviously not something that I want for any one of you guys. I want you in this class. I want to see you, go through every single one of the chapters and understand the strategies. I want to see you get into the simulator, and I want to see you start producing the right metrics. So, every single one of you should take part in the multi-month plan that I'm going to lay out for you in the coming weeks. It's a 3-step trading plan where we start with you risking $50 per trade, and then we slowly increase that risk to $200 a trade. All right. By slowly increasing the risk, we condition you to experience loss and to not get stressed out about it. Now, so many of us as beginner traders, whenever we experience loss, we get really stressed out. We get frustrated, and then we end up having that emotional response, which is revenge trading, getting more aggressive, doubling down, tripling down, taking huge size, and that's how the snowballs happen. That's how the blow-up days happen. That is 100% preventable. You have to first learn how to manage risk, and then learn how to choose the right stocks to trade, the right entries, and then through all of that experience and practice trading those strategies, you exercise discipline, you exercise patience, and you develop emotional control. It's not something that's going to come overnight. It's going to come with practice. All right. So in it's actually chapter 12. I've moved it back to chapter 12. I'll introduce you to the 6-month trading plan. But today, I'm going to get you started on a 30-day plan. So this will take you up through chapter 12. Now, I know many of you might be thinking, look, I want to get into trading with real money. I see how much Ross is making. I want to see those profits. But the reality is, I worked for years and years and years before I was able to make $22,000 in a single day. That only happened to me after years and years of trading. For me, I spent 2 years in strategy development, studying, practicing, trying to figure out what would work. My goal is to help you reduce the strategy development phase by at least 50%, maybe more. So you get to the point where you can be trading with real money within the first 3, 4, 5 months, maybe 6 months, and you don't have that long, drawn out learning curve. But the reality is, it takes time. You have to study, and you have to have the discipline and the patience to not try to fast forward this learning process. So your trading plan for the next several months, all right, or at least starting for the next 30 days, you have to follow a strict plan. Now, you'll learn the strategies that I'm going to trade in the coming days, in the coming weeks. But between now and then, I want to set a plan for how you'll trade in the simulator. You have to prove to yourself that you are successful and that you are worth investing in. You have to prove this to yourself. You have to prove it to us. You have to prove it to your friends and your family and the people that are supporting you as you're learning how to trade. So as I said, without a plan, what happens if you trade without a plan? How many of you in here have already lost money trading because you're trading without a plan? Let's see. You're saying yes, 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 but in the simulator, which is good. Yes, but in the simulator. So many of you have made the mistake of trading with real money and losing. And I made the same mistake. Now, you can do one of two things. You can say, well, I've already done it, so I'm just going to keep trading with real money and just keep doing it. Or you can say, I'm going to stop doing that today. So obviously, 36 of you just made the legal agreement that you would be stopping trading with real money today and you would be trading in the simulator. So I hope that for all of you watching who are watching the recording, feel the same way, that you'll focus on trading in the simulator, Practice the basics. You can't get in and start trading with real money when you're still learning. It would be like a second semester med school student trying to do open heart surgery. You're not there yet, right? You're going to screw it up. So you would never have a second semester med school student do your surgery. You just wouldn't. And you wouldn't have a trader who's in class 2 of the trading course or who's in their first month of trading trade with a $250,000 account or even $100,000 account because it's too much risk. It's not worth it. I had one student who lost over $30,000 in a matter of weeks. I had another student lose $5,000 in a single trade in 15 minutes. He got into the trade. He didn't know how to stop out. He didn't know how to handle himself, and he took a huge loss. These are avoidable losses. These are 100% avoidable. This doesn't need to happen to you. And if it's already happened, well, we don't want it to happen again. You have to respect the risk of the market. So the awesome thing is that we've developed a simulator so you can trade right here. You can get where'd this go? You get real-time market quotes and you can trade side by side with me. If you want to trade the same stocks as me, that's fine. You can trade it in this simulator in a safe environment. You'll quickly learn that just trying to follow what I'm doing, you're always going to be behind me. So you don't want to follow. You want to learn to anticipate the breakouts by understanding the right entry points, by understanding the right patterns, the bull flags, the flat top breakouts, right? But this is the place to practice. Now, this is a platform connected to the exchanges, giving you real-time data that is the closest thing to trading with real money that you can get. And best of all, you can see what all of your fellow students are doing. Now, some of these students are in our classes and others just simply signed up to use the simulator because it's a piece of software that they know is valuable. But you can log in and you can see, what did this student do today that worked so well? IDXG, right? So there you go. That's what he traded. And the other one was CBLI. What did Kathleen trade today? She traded a lot of different stocks. So you can go through and you can get a sense of, are there common stocks that all these guys are trading? CBLI and IDXG, two of our biggest winners, traded the same stocks. I bet it's worth checking out those stocks, right? Figure out how they traded them, what they did right. And you can go in and you can actually see their exact entries and exits. You can see everything they did. This is an incredible tool for you guys. It's at your disposal, so I want you to use it. All right, now here are your objectives and rules for the next 30 days. Number one, trade in the simulator for a minimum of 1 month to gain experience and to practice the strategies that you're learning. Now, if you kind of think that it feels like a little bit of a game, it's better to have it feel a little bit like a game than to lose real money because you're still in the learning phase. You're still in the strategy development phase. And in fact, when you start trading with real money, I'm going to suggest that you trade with only 100 to 200 shares. You start with such a small position size that it still feels kind of like a game. When it feels kind of like a game, you're not going to have the emotional response when you lose 20 or 30 cents. You're not going to get sweaty palms. You're not going to go into revenge trading. You're not going to get furious. It'll condition you to experience loss and not get upset about it. And that's something that's important as a trader. Even for me, I'm only right 68, 70% of the time. That means I'm wrong a lot. I have to be comfortable being wrong and losing on a daily basis. Get used to it. It's part of trading. So we're going to condition you to experience loss the right way. It's kind of like one of these things like, a gymnast or a downhill skier. Falling is inevitable. It's not about avoiding falling. It's about falling in a controlled way. It's a safe fall. All right. Number two, only trade during the times permitted by your strategy. And right now, just as a default, I would say 9:30 a.m. to lunchtime. 9:30 a.m. to 12 noon is the time of day to trade. After that, don't trade. Number three, do not exceed your max loss or your max position size restrictions. So right now, I want you to put down a max loss and a max position size restriction. So for the next 30 days, what's your max loss going to be in the simulator and what's your max position size? And you guys can type it in here. $1K shares, 1K, $1,000. That's good, 1K and 1K. $1,000 might be a little bit big, but that's good, and it's got a nice ring to it. Jacob, $100 max loss. $150 max loss and 500 shares. That's a good one, Mario. I think that's very reasonable. 1K and 1K. $200 max loss, $200 max loss. I think these are really reasonable max losses in the $200 to $300 range. If you get more than that, 500 and 500 kind of makes sense. I think that seems reasonable as well. 1,000 and 1,000, I feel like that would be a little high because if you lost $1,000 with real money, you would probably be stressed. All right, so you should write down right now your max position size and your max loss. So if you don't have one, then let's by default use 500, 500. And in the simulator, because you'll be using hotkeys to take your trades, what you can do is you can go in here to the tools and down to the hotkey manager, and you can change your hotkey for shift 1, which is right now to buy 1,000 shares. Change that to buy like 250 and then say save. All right, so now you've changed it to 250. So when you get into these trades, if I get into this right now, I'm getting in 250 shares. All right. So now let's move this out of the way. Number 4, I want you to strive to exceed 50% accuracy, with 60 to 70% being your target range. And I want you to strive to maintain a positive profit-loss ratio where your winners are at least equal to your losers. I don't want your losers to be bigger than your winners. Number 6, I want you to start using a scaling strategy, which means when you're up a little bit, you take a little profit. When you're up a little more, you take a little more profit. And then you keep adjusting your stop mentally to the price that you got in at. So if you get in at $3 and it goes up to $3.20, take a little profit and now sell the rest at $3 if it comes back down to break even. If it goes up to $3.30, sell a little more. $3.40, sell a little more. Take profit. So that's kind of also called trim and trail. You trim a little bit, you trail that stop. You can keep moving the stop up from 3 to 305 to 310. So now your stop is actually in the profit zone. Number 7, don't trade through major economic events like the FOMC meeting minutes, which we'll talk about, or you hear there's something going on, maybe avoid trading through that type of event. And 8, when you go to trade live, you should only be trading the strategies you successfully traded as a paper trader. That's really important. You don't want to trade live and then start doing something different from what you were practicing in the simulator. Now, there are a certain set of metrics that each one of you need to meet before you go live. These are the metrics of a profitable trader. You need to have these metrics. A minimum accuracy of 50%. I don't expect you to get there by the end of 30 days, but I want you to put this in your mind that this is where you need to get to before you can ever trade in a real account. Even if you've traded in a real account before, you're not going to go back to that real account until you meet these metrics. Accuracy, 50%. Profit loss ratio, typo there, of 1 to 1. Minimum, meaning your winners and losers are the same. So $100 winners, $100 losers. You strive for 1.5 to 2 to 1 profit loss ratio. You strive for better, but you aim at a minimum for 1 to 1. You also need a history of success, at least 1 month of being profitable 4 weeks in a row. Until you can show me those metrics, you shouldn't be trading with real money. Now, here are your trading plan goals. For the first 30 days, you can trade 4 times a day is kind of what you would aim for, but not more than 10 times a day. Your target accuracy, 50% success. Your max risk per trade will be $50 to start. So you're risking $50 on each trade. That means if you take 500 shares, that's 10 cents. 10 cents is your max loss. Your daily profit target, $200. Now, realistically, right now, I just want you to close each day green. It doesn't have to be $200. If you close each day with $20, I'll be happy. So this is something that we'll get into more when we start doing strategy development. But right now, I would just like you to strive towards closing each day green, even if it's, excuse me, only by $20. Daily max loss. If you lose $100 in one day, you're done for the day. Now, if you want to use the $50, $500 max loss, 500 position, that's okay if that's what you feel comfortable with right now. But you have your max loss and you set it, and then that's it. You don't ignore it. Your weekly goal is usually the daily goal times 3. So if you set a daily goal for yourself of $50 a day, or maybe you are a little more conservative, your weekly goal would be about $150. Remember, right now, it's not about making money. You're in school. You guys are, that second semester med school student. You're in class. You're getting your education, your training. This is not the time to be out there trading with real money. That time will come, and you'll be better prepared for it in 2 to 3 months once you've gone through this course. Much better prepared than you are today, right now. All right. So you can focus on the strategies that resonate most with you, whether it's gap and go, momentum, the reversals, whichever it happens to be. And you're going to learn more about these strategies in the coming days and weeks. Okay. So in the first month, risking $50 per trade, if you took 4 trades, your target accuracy, 50% minimum, risking $50 a trade, daily profit target $100 a day. This is sort of a breakdown of what the first month could look like if we scale it back just a little bit. So $100 a day profit target, and if you lose $100 a day, you're done for the day. So this is a $100 a day target, $100 max loss using $50 per trade. So using that scenario, if you take 4 trades, you risk $50 per trade and you lose on 2 trades, you're down $100. You're right at your max loss. Now, if you make $100 on 2 trades, using the 2-to-1 profit loss ratio, you're going to make $200 and you'll have a net profit of 100. So let's say you have 1 winner, 1 loser, 1 winner, and 1 loser. 50% success, you never broke your max loss. And of course, it's possible you'll get into a trade and you'll sell it sooner before you hit the max loss. It's also possible you'll have a winner that exceeds $100. It's a bigger winner. And this is with 500 share position sizes. All right, so this requires only 50% accuracy in order to be profitable. 50% accuracy, you will be profitable, but it requires a 2-to-1 profit loss ratio. So if your winners are only 100 and your losers are 120, you'll be losing money unless your accuracy is higher. Okay, so that's sort of the balancing act of finding the accuracy that you're at right now and then the profit loss ratio that you're able to maintain. These are 2 things that will improve with experience. Accuracy gets better with practice. All right, so that's something that if your accuracy right now is like 30% or 40%, that's okay. It'll get better with practice. The profit loss ratio is something that takes a little bit more discipline because this is all about keeping really tight stops and bailing out when the stock's not working. All right, now ideally I'd like to see you winning on 3 out of 4 trades or something like that, but you can be profitable with as little as 50% success. All right, so I want you to do this every day for the next 30 days. Prove to yourself that you can choose the right stocks. And maybe you're trading the same stocks as me to start because we're in the first 30 days, and that's fine. That's totally okay. Right now, it's not about how much money you make. It's not about necessarily trading your own strategy. It's about building consistency and learning discipline. Once we get into chapters 6, 7, and 8, you're going to learn the strategy. You're going to learn how to find these entries on your own. But in the next 30 days, I kind of want you just to follow along with what I'm doing and learn from me, but to do it in the simulator. If you prove that you are consistent and profitable with good accuracy, then you'll be able to advance to month 2 of the trading plan. I'll be introducing you to month 2 at the very end of chapter 12. All right, but let's see. So do you guys have any questions on that for those of you that are in the live class? Obviously, we just went through the breakdown of how to use the simulator over here. So you should be familiar with this. You know how to get into the chat room. So what you can do is you can continue to trade. If you've been trading real money, just switch over, trade in the simulator. If you haven't been trading at all, start practicing in the simulator. You can trade some of the stocks that I'm trading, some of the stocks other people are trading, but get used to doing a couple of things. Number one, as soon as you get into the trade, knowing how to set a stop. Use your hotkeys up here to set a stop on every trade. That's your max loss. Have a max loss on every single trade. And then as the trade goes up, take a little profit. Take a little profit, take a little profit, adjust your stop. And what you're going to see is if you're picking the right stocks, you will have lots of small winners. And your losses will be small as well because you're using the stops. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna back out of this here for 1 second. So this is, as I said, by popular demand, I brought in the 30-day trading plan because students who had taken this course before you guys got to chapter 12 where I introduced the 6-month trading plan, and they were like, I wish that I had month 1 for the last, the last month, because all of a sudden I feel like I should have been doing this from the beginning. So I wanted to give you a trading plan for the next 30 days that you can follow while you're taking the class, while you're practicing the strategies, while you're attending the morning trading session every day in the chat room. Not only will it help prepare you for when you trade live, it'll prevent you from making beginner mistakes with a real live trading account and then inevitably suffering real losses. So let's see, to answer your question there, the way you can set your stops, you go in the hotkeys manager right here, scroll down, and I've got Control T on here. Control T, if I go into edit, this is to send a stop for your entire position. This sells your entire position. It's a sell, stop, the bid minus 10 cents. So I should actually change this to 100% position. On the bid, or 10 cents below the bid, 100% of the position. So you press that and you're going to have a 10-cent stop at literally 10 cents below the current bid. So if you get in at 33, your stop is at 123. By doing that, you get in the habit of capping your losses and having those tight stops on every single trade you take, which is, I mean, it's just an absolute necessity. All right, so I think this is fairly straightforward. Again, for some of you, you've already been trading, you're all at different levels of the learning curve. So some of you have been trading with real money for a period of time, and this is going to feel like going into boot camp, and that's a good thing. You're taking this class because you haven't achieved the success that you want to achieve. That means you need to step back. You need to give yourself 30 days where you're focused just on this class, on learning this content, and on trading in a simulator, practicing the things that you're learning. Check your metrics, prove to yourself that you can be profitable, and then if you can, you'll be ready to advance on to month 2, month 3, month 4, and going into trading, back to trading with real money. For some of you who are just getting into the market and you aren't even totally clear on level 2 and the bid and the ask and the spreads and all of that stuff, this may still feel a little premature. And so as you go into chapter 2, 3, and 4, you can always come back and rewatch this class when you feel you're at the point where you're ready to start trading. All right, so again, I just want to encourage you guys to focus on patience and discipline right now. Have the discipline and the patience to follow the rules. I've given you the rules for the next 30 days. You've got your max loss, you've got your max share size, you have your targets, you know the metrics that you need to meet. So now I'm going to let you guys get out there and start trading, and I'll be able to check in on your metrics and see where you're at. All right, so that's it for tonight, and I will see you in the chat room first thing tomorrow morning. Okay, thanks, guys.